Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Sunday Messages. And honestly, I just have a bunch of updates for you. I have all sorts of things that I've been doing that I think would be really helpful to share with all of you. And so that's what we're going to do today. And let's just dive right in. Okay. The biggest thing that has changed in my life lately has been becoming a morning person. I was talking about this a little bit on my Instagram story the other night, but I want to expand on it a little bit more here and just to I want to give this out to everyone because I feel like there's someone who could really use this. And it is, if you want to wake up earlier and if you want to be an early bird, if you will, focus on your evening routine. This was the very thing that completely changed the game for me because I know that a lot of people talk about how to wake up earlier, how to be a morning person, and it usually involves some form of force and some form of trying. Like you have to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 your way out of bed. You have to jump out. You have to set 20 alarms and drag yourself out of bed first thing in the morning. And I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that. Who wants to do that? And so I set this intention probably like 6 weeks ago. And I started telling people, even I was like, I want to wake up earlier. I want to capitalize on the first part of my day. And so what the inspiration ended up being was to dive deeper into my evening routine. And what this ended up doing is I was so excited to get ready for bed because it was a whole bunch of activities that I enjoy. It was stretching and red light and meditation, maybe reading a book, doing skincare. I just like really, really, really allowed myself to milk it in the evenings. And then by the time 10:30 rolled around, I was tired because I had spent so many hours getting ready for bed and going in depth on an evening routine. And also keep in mind, routines will stick if you like them. You're going to have a hard time sticking to a routine if you hate it, in my opinion. Some people, like David Goggins, does stuff like that, where it's just let's focus on all of if it doesn't suck, we're not going to do it. And like, sure, that's an approach that just wouldn't be sustainable for me. For me, the path of least resistance is like doing things that I really, really, really enjoy, stacking them, orienting towards things that are good for me. And the other thing that has made a big difference is actually putting downtime on my phone. So if you have an iPhone, I'm not sure how it works on other devices, but you can set time where you do not have access to certain apps. So from 10 p.m. to 11 a.m., I cannot open social media, even if I try. It like takes way more involvement in order to bypass it. And so it's just completely off limits. So if you don't have that on, I highly recommend it. Because now that I'm waking up earlier, it's like the whole front part of my day is loaded with all of the things that I know are good for me. So that has been a game changer. The other thing that makes a big difference is actually early morning light exposure. Excuse me. So if you are getting sunlight first thing in the day, that's going to make a big difference. And just get light. Don't stare at the sun, obviously, but you get the idea. Andrew Huberman talks about this a lot, and it just makes sense. Like waking up with the sun, get light exposure first thing so that your body knows what time it is. If you're approaching it from, okay, body, I'm going to expose you to some light right now. Your body is going to know what time it is. It's going to know what to do, so on and so forth. So it's going to support your evening routine. I think the ideal situation would be to watch the sun cross the horizon both directions. That's kind of a tall order. I'm not doing that, but I think that that's like the gold standard for light exposure is you want to see it come over the horizon in the morning and you want to see it go down over the horizon in the evening before you go to sleep. I'm not doing that. Morning walks. Okay. This is the next piece. So someone said you will be a hotter person if you work out in the morning. You know what? I tend to agree, and let me explain why. In the evening, first of all, I crash from 3 to 5 p.m., very low energy. For me, that's just a time when I want to chill. I want to eat a snack. I don't really want to do anything. I definitely don't want to work unless it's a scheduled call. And so if you do not work out in the morning and you push it till later in the day, it's kind of dicey because evenings are not guaranteed. Evening workouts, it's like, well, do you have dinner with friends? Is there a birthday party? Is there an extracurricular activity that you need to do with your children? It's like, who knows what could actually be happening later in the day. Mornings are safer typically for you to like put something in and insert something into your routine. I just think that mornings are like a safer bet. Let me read this comment. Working out in the evening sometimes makes it harder for me to sleep too. Yeah, absolutely. Like you have all this blood pumping. Your energy is high. Like I'm not tired after a workout. Okay, so going outdoors every day is a big deal. That's something that actually started from Big Kid School. So if you don't know, you should. If you've been listening to this podcast, you should absolutely know about Big Kid School because I talked about it podcast episode after podcast episode after podcast episode. And so that's something that I'm in the midst of right now. And one of the things that we ended up doing one of the weeks was going outside every day, like making it a point to do that. And it's been a complete game changer because now it's like I'm going outside first thing in the morning. And the other thing, I've been reading Rick Rubin's The Creative Act is what the book is called. And it's about creativity. I don't have all my thoughts yet, but one of the things that he said was if you are in a closed room, it will change your perspective. If you go outside, you're going to have a broader perspective, a bigger perspective. If you're in a small space, you're going to have a smaller perspective. So it makes sense that if you're cooped up all day, that your mind is going to mimic that. Whereas if you go outside, if you get exposure to other things, it's going to open everything else up. It's going to open up your perspective. It's going to open up your thought forms. You're going to get exposure to life, new ways of thinking. Other things are going to inspire you when you go outside. And so there's a lot more to it than just this stereotypical attitude of like, yeah, it's good for you. Getting in nature is good for you. I would broaden that out to your mind will change as you go outside. Like it makes a huge, huge, huge difference. Okay, let's talk about the next piece, which I'm really excited about. If you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen that post where I was talking about, I did a financial experiment last month where I just took tons and tons and tons of action during my launch. And I really made it a point. I was like, I am going to come hell or high water. I am taking action every day. Radical action. Podcasts all the time, going live as often as I can, making a bunch of content, posting all the time, posting all the time, posting all the time. My results from doing that, because this is what everyone says, if you prioritize action, it will make you more money. It will bring you more success. You will get better results. I didn't find that. I didn't find that at all. As a matter of fact, it was one of the poorest turnouts that I'd ever had for a program like that And I know exactly why. It was an alignment thing, because of course it was an experiment. So I was willing to see, what is this going to yield me? What type of results am I going to get from this type of behavior? And I was like, I genuinely want to see, am I missing something? Have I been doing something wrong? I wanted to rule out my own theory, basically. I wanted to see, are these other perspectives that I'm seeing correct? Is this right? Like, could there be something here that I'm missing? What I did learn that was really helpful was going in with more preparation was very, very soothing for my mind, right? So taking time behind the scenes and getting ready for the launch was really, really, really helpful, because I didn't feel like I was scrambling. I wasn't like patching things together in the middle. It just felt much smoother in that regard, because all of my materials were prepared ahead of time. So that part was actually really beneficial for my mindset. So it's not to say that action isn't a part of it, but it's just about what energy are you coming from when you're taking action. What I did was I was putting my energetics on the back burner as an experiment. I was like, can I override this with action? Didn't work out. It was very stressful. I described it as feeling more like I was crash landing an airplane than like rolling up to a party in a Rolls Royce. Like, that's the ideal situation that you want to have going on during a launch. But this just felt very turbulent towards the end, because I felt like I was run completely ragged. And so what I would do differently moving into the future is like, keep doing what I was doing in terms of lots of meditation. I'm going to talk about meditation in a minute, because this has been another part of my routine. Do more meditation, do more mindset work, and then carry that into my work. So let people see my radiance and magnetism when I'm coming off of those activities. Okay. So that was like my conclusion that I came to at the end was, no, I'm correct about the energetics and the mindset matter a lot. Action is no problem. And let me add this caveat as well. If you are just beginning and you don't have a habit of making content or taking action in the direction of your desires, then of course action is going to be a big player, because it's just about developing your muscles when it comes to activities that you want to be natural for you, right? So action plays a bigger role in the early stages of development, in my opinion, right? When you're starting to develop your muscle memory, but connecting to the energy and the vision and the outcome that you want, that's critical. Like, that cannot be put on the back burner at any point. That's actually the work. You staying in the energy of it is done, and I'm connecting to that every day. I'm connecting to the feelings and sensations, and I'm going to practice that. That's the work. Then all of the action is just bridging things together for you. So the action is the bridge between the energetic and the physical. And that bridge is important so that you can actually so you can play a part in this, right? It would be boring if you just sat on a meditation cushion forever. Like, I can feel like, okay, I've had enough of this meditation. And so that's where action is like a fun part of this. It's a fun part of the human experience. Okay, let's talk about meditation again. I know you all have heard me talk about this countless times. I've said it a million times on different videos and podcasts. When I look back at the times where I had the most success, I made the most money, I was like really seeing the manifestations pop, my meditation game was off the charts. Like, my meditations were rocking my world. Like, that was the biggest priority a lot of the time. And so when I remember going through those seasons where it's like my love life was going really well and money was going really well, and like all of these different areas were just really, really satisfying and moving, like they were really picking up their pace, meditation was the piece that made the biggest difference. And when I'm saying meditation, there is, of course, an induction process is what they call it, like an induction meditation, where you are essentially just calming your body down, right? You're getting into that non-thought state. That's part of it. And those meditations, I would say 15 minutes is good for an induction. 15 to 20 minutes. I don't think you need any more than that. But when I'm talking about meditation, I'm talking about mental rehearsal. And I'm talking about like spending more time in my imagination. And I know everyone is going to be like, you're such a Pisces, blah, blah, blah. Of course you do. But it really is like the most satisfying thing that helps me activate the energy, embody the energy, and then I can carry that out places. And so for me, mental rehearsal meditation, like an active meditation where I am imagining scenarios and doing things, like that is my favorite ever. And that's also been what has yielded the best results. And so I'm like, why the fuck did I even consider shifting away from this? And I mean, I also think part of it has to do with my human design as well. Only because in human design, like my sense, my super sense, if you will, is inner vision. And so that's something that comes really naturally to me. It's a lot of fun for me. And so I just need to commit to that. And I've started doing them again, like every day. I'm just having these meditations that are rocking my world. And like, I hope you can like feel it through the screen that it just feels good. It feels good to be connected. It feels good to get juiced up on meditation. It feels good to imagine dreamy things and dreamy experiences. And that's what I am committing to doing more of. So that's been really, really good. Okay, what else do I want to talk about? Okay, romance. Romance has been coming up a lot in my life. And there are so many different reasons for this. I've just been, I would say, in deep embodied practice these days. And it's been a lot of fun. Part of it has been because I've been teaching the last few modules of Slut Magic, which has made a big difference in all of this, because that has kind of like put a spotlight on all of these things. And then going into these conversations and talking about it more and everything like that. And I've been teaching different practices in there. And so it's really highlighted that for me. There's a hair here. And so because of that, it's just, for whatever reason, it's just made me magnetize more romantic experiences. And even I also want to say, when it comes to romance, I count, and this is true for all manifestations of any kind, any visions, any thoughts, ideas that feel good and sound good and look good to you, or nice little fantasies that you imagine, those count. An affirmative thought is a manifestation. A thought that comes to you that feels like, ooh, yeah, I like that. That is a manifestation. Or if I get an image in my mind about, a specific direction of my career or something like that, that is a manifestation. Because all of this has to do with energetic maturation over time. And so thoughts and images and internal experiences that you're having, that is a part of the maturation process. And so my attitude in all of this has been really exercising appreciation when I feel those things and when I experience them internally. So if I get an image, I'm appreciative of it. So then it's like I'm doubling down on what's happening. So then appreciation is what adds momentum to the experience, and it adds momentum to the energy. And so what a lot of people do, and I just want to throw this out there in case you've been doing this, if you get something delightful coming to mind, and then you shut it down with doubt or skepticism or, oh, but I can't have that, some nasty talk that you are saying to yourself, that's a momentum killer. So that doubt, instead of you understanding that what you are receiving internally, what you are imagining, whatever's coming to mind is part of it maturing. That's like, it just sprouted. Okay, you planted a seed a long time ago or however long ago, and then it sprouted when you got the idea and the vision, and you pull it out of the ground and you toss it. When you're like, oh no, I can't have that. That's never going to happen. That's going to take forever. I don't know how that's going to be, blah, blah, blah. All of that shit is you ripping the baby sprout out of the ground and tossing it out. And that's just, please don't do that. You need to catch yourself. If you have a habit of doing that, please catch yourself, because that's, you're moving in the wrong direction, okay? When you do that, you want to allow it in completely. Celebrate the images, celebrate the imaginary pieces that are coming together. Okay. I don't know if I want to talk about this yet. Here, okay, I have been playing with an idea because I'm about to wrap up the last final pieces of Slut Magic that I have for now. There's already 9. This is going to be the 10th module that I'm doing on Wednesday. Then I have a guest speaker that I need to coordinate with later. But I've also been playing with the idea of expanding on Slut Magic in certain ways and kind of branching out into doing other things that are like related to body modification, because I know that there's been a really large demand for that from me. And so I haven't made any decisions, but I am sitting with it. I am sitting with it. I'm thinking about it. I found something that could be really cool and interesting. And so it's in the works right now. Okay. Just as a way to like expand on it, because as I've been in this really good flow, like, let me tell you, my life, for whatever reason right now, I'm in such a good flow with my practices, with all of the, all the stuff that I have going on in terms of routine, workflow, mindset, everything like that has felt so good and so seamless. What I've realized is that the majority of the time when I'm in both of these, the bookends of my day, the early part of the day and then my evening routine is heavily, heavily, heavily related to what I've been doing in Slut Magic, like in terms of the practices that I teach in there. And so I'm like, okay, maybe it would be cool to do something related to documentation, or maybe different like 30-day challenges, things like that. I don't know. But it's something that I'm really curious about because it's such a big part of my life at this point that I'm like, I want to do something with this. I just don't know what yet. Or I have an idea. I'm just getting some details in place. So that's a teaser. I don't know what's going to happen with that yet. Okay. Let's see. Let's talk about money magic. Okay, let me address this. Okay. Are we all seeing this? If you're seeing this on Instagram, the money wall has fallen. Okay, this used to be full of everyone's name, and all of these fell down overnight. I need to find a new place for them. And so this was all of the people inside Money Magic. I was so excited about it. but this wall just isn't good for sticking things. So whatever. I think I might end up putting all of the sticky notes on the door to my office and just have like a green door, both sides. So anyway, let's talk about Money Magic. So I have 2 new calls coming for Money Magic at the end of this month. And what I've decided, I'm doing a giveaway for this, okay? This is the announcement that I've been wanting to make. As of now, what is it? It's 1:45 p.m. Pacific time. As of now, the 5th person to purchase Money Magic Pay in Full will get a DIY class or master class for free. Okay. Now I want to be clear. This does not include Slut Magic and it doesn't include Money Magic. Those are the only 2 that are exempt from this, but everything else. So that would be Clown, Dom, Sub, Fabric of the Universe, Heaven's Nectar, Bitch, the White Rabbit. I don't have them all off the top of my head. Whatever, there's like 12 in there or something like that. It's 12 or 13. So that is the giveaway currently. So again, as of now, the 5th person to pay in full gets a DIY class for free, excluding Money Magic and Slut Magic. Those are bigger courses. So Money Magic, there's a couple things that I have coming up for the upcoming modules. And of course, if you're already inside, you get these. You're going to be invited to the calls. You probably already received an email from me about the calls that we have at the end of this month. There's one on the 28th and one on the 30th. One call is going to be dedicated to just my money, financial, existential crisis that I had last year, because my relationship with money just went through like a turbulent era. And then I kind of came out on the other side feeling a completely different relationship with money. Just it led to a lot of evolution on my end. So I'm going to share all of that. I'm going to share some things that happened with the house situation, just everything that I learned from that, talking about lifestyle, because there's a big lifestyle component to this that I want to talk about. So I'm going to be sharing all about like my financial existential crisis. Okay. So that's one. There's a lot of wisdom in that. And then the second call, I'm going to be talking about embodiment versus mindset, because what I've found on the internet is a very black and white place. Okay. So we have people who are talking about money like, if you're not doing embodiment work, embodiment work is the way. Embodiment work is, the only thing that matters when it comes to money. And then you have people who are 100% mindset, 100% thoughts. And they're like, no, it's a mindset, it's imagination, it's thoughts only. As is with pretty much everything, it's both. Shocker. And so I'm kind of, I would say, annoyed by a lot of the black and white thinking around money. And instead, I just want to remind all of you that when it comes to any type of energetic work, money work, mindset work, my attitude is more enveloping. So of course, I'm picky about certain things just because certain syntax can imply different things that we want to keep nice and clean. But my attitude is, if you find something that's really effective and works for you, then it works for you. I don't like this idea of being in this binary of like, yes, no, good, bad. All of this is contextual. Okay. So when it comes to money stuff, it's like, yeah, if you're freaked out and dysregulated chronically, you need to take care of it somatically. Somatic work, embodiment work matters a lot if you're seriously dysregulated, right? That just makes sense, because you're not going to be able to just jerk your mind around and get it to follow you if you're in fight or flight. right? That just makes sense. So of course, embodiment work, nervous system regulation, all of this stuff matters a lot. This has been a part of the conversation for quite some time. However, I find that if you exclusively do embodiment work forever, things get kind of boring. I'm going to be totally honest. If you don't include any mindset work, then it feels almost like you're not even driving the car. If you're just like, I'm feeling into infinite oneness, I'm relaxing into infinite oneness all the time, and that's all you do, that also will get boring after a while, because there's part of us that wants to be involved. Like the idea of co-creation, we want to be a part of it. That's kind of like the action piece. We want to take action because action is fun. Action is what helps you give more of the tactile experience. And so it's the same thing when it comes to this conversation about embodiment versus mindset. It's like both matter. Both in particular contexts matter. Both can work. But it depends on like what's going on, where are you at, how dysregulated are you, what type of practices do you enjoy? GarageBand just crashed. Uh-oh. Okay, no more GarageBand. What kind of practices do you even enjoy? If you're doing mindset work that you hate and is not enjoyable and you can't stand it, then it's probably not going to be super effective. You know, or if you're doing embodiment work and it feels like a chore and you have all this resistance to it. I mean, some people will say, but if you just break through the other side, then you're going to feel a lot better. I mean, maybe like there is part of this. What I'm getting at is so many things can be true at the same time. And this is why I go back to it depends. It depends. When I force myself to do something that I really, really do not want to do and I'm being guided away from, I end up resentful. This is partly what happened last month with my experiment. Like, okay, take action, do it. I ended up angry and resentful and feeling like my work is thankless and this isn't getting me where I want to go. And I'm not satisfied from this experience and I'm not having a good time. And it just was not working at all. And so all of this to say, anything can work. Embodiment work works, mindset work works, EFT works, nervous system regulation works, all of it works. You don't need to live in the yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And what actually needs to happen is you have to learn where you're at, how dysregulated are you, what do you need, what are you called to, what would help you move the needle. That's the real discussion that needs to be had. And what I've found is like embodiment work doesn't always move the needle for me. Sometimes it's like, okay, yeah, I did this. I'm not like feeling activated. What now? Like, there are just some times that that's the case. So anyway, I just feel very strongly about this because I know that we're always around very extreme perspectives. Anytime we're consuming online content, you're just drowning. At least this is my experience of like good, bad, this way, not that way. And it's like, why can't it be more enveloping? Why can't it be incorporating more methods? Like, I just feel like that's what makes the most sense because everyone is different. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox with that. But we are going to be talking in Money Magic. I am going to dedicate a module to unpacking the embodiment work, unpacking the nervous system, unpacking the mindset work, and different degrees of it. So for example, some like wonderful imagination practices aren't necessarily going to be available at all times when it comes to money. In the same breath, nervous system regulation, if you're already regulated, you don't need to do more regulation. That doesn't really make any sense. You can step on the gas a little bit more. You know, if you have a lot of default thoughts that are shitty around money, then the work is going to be shifting the thoughts, massaging out the thoughts, which is what we do in Money Magic, right? So there are just so many different things that you can use. And so you just have to get good at knowing yourself. Fuck methods for a second. You have to know what moves the needle for you, period. That's it. Money, in my opinion, is very simple. If you take nothing else from this call, just take this. Money is, your relationship with money will improve if you learn how to regulate yourself, think in the direction of your desire, and understand how to navigate your own bullshit thoughts around it. If you can do those three things, money will shift for you. Your experience with money will shift. And the other thing I want to mention here is I understand that there's a lot of talk in human land about money is something that needs to be worked for instead of money is something that is natural. And this is another reason why we get really tangled up in the conversation about money, because money is natural. If you did nothing to think against money, money would come. Because it's natural. It just is. Money just is. Resources just are. Resources of all kinds do not need a performance for you. They are not conditionally based like that. That's a human distortion. So anyway, we have a whole bunch of cluttered thoughts and ideas and perspectives around money that we have to learn how to navigate. And so that's what the work actually is. But everything that I just told you, you learn how to relax and regulate. You learn how to think in the direction of your thoughts. And when a bullshit thought comes up, you understand how to navigate it and work with it. Just that will change the game for money if you did nothing else. That's what all of your tools are actually doing. So when you go to embodiment work, it's to relax and get regulated. When you go to mindset work, it could be either one. It could be massaging out a thought that is not beneficial. It could be moving the thought baseline that you're experiencing, or it could be allowing yourself to go deeper into a story, into affirmative direction around money. And so all of those help. And the thing is, like I said before, any tool for money can work. There's a million, all roads lead to Rome. So my attitude is just do what you like, do what you're oriented towards. Trust yourself when you're being called to a financial tool of some sort, or a mindset tool, or a book, or a perspective, or whatever. Oh, this is something else that I mentioned on Instagram that I want to put here as well. The best financial teachers, in my experience, are the ones that you enjoy listening to and the ones that you want to keep going back to. I find that it's like, who cares if they're a top earner? It's like there are so many other people who have money programs and teach money and are like decades more experienced than I am who teach about money, right? But if you if their voice sounds like nails on a chalkboard and you can't stand the perspective, then who cares if they're a top earner, right? If someone is making a bunch of money, but I am like revolted by their perspective, or if I'm bored to death and I do not want to listen to them, then it's not really going to help. And so one of the things that really changed for me is I was talking to a client in Apex. This was many rounds ago. And I brought up Joe Dispenza because I wanted to have integrity around something that we were talking about. I like in terms of this process, this is something that Joe Dispenza talks about, or this is something that Joe Dispenza teaches. Like I was just being transparent about where some information was sourced from. That came up in a conversation, and her reaction was like, I can't stand Joe Dispenza. And I started laughing because it made me realize, like, this is exactly why there's variety. This is why there's a whole bunch of different people to choose from. There's a whole bunch of different people that we orient towards, because we don't all like the same people or practices or ideas or methods. So it's like the diversity piece is really, really good. And just trust what you're oriented towards. Like, I find that when it comes to strategies and perspectives and, you know, stuff around money, there's such an abundance of it on the internet. And it's like, you could totally change your experience without paying a dime. Like, information is just so cheap these days. Like, you don't have to pay for anything. I think it's just a matter of, do you like going deeper with someone? Do you like that? Does that feel good to you? At least that's how I shop. Like, I'm not someone who feels like this is the life raft that I need to cling to. It's like, no, it's just, do I want more? Do I want to go deeper here? That's true with all teaching. Yeah, totally agree. It's just a matter of, do you dig it? Do you want to go deeper with it? Do you vibe with it? Do you enjoy it? Like, though, that's actually, do you trust the person? You know, like, that's actually a bigger factor. And so anyway, that being said, Money Magic has 11 hours of content right now. I still cannot believe the first module of Money Magic, which is where I teach mental mold, we call it the mental mold journaling. Okay. That lecture where it's all about like unpacking wealth trauma and poverty trauma, understanding your financial history, like where you picked up certain beliefs. It's like unpacking all of that. That lecture is 3.5 hours, or no, 3 hours and 45 minutes, something crazy like that. And the interesting thing about Money Magic, the program, is it was supposed to be a one-time workshop. Like, I was not even planning on building out a program, but it in November of 2020, I'm just going to give you some Money Magic history. In November of 2020, I was asking people on Instagram, I'm like, hey, what do you guys want? Like, what could you use from me right now? What would be helpful? And someone requested like, oh, do a money workshop. And I said, okay. Like, at that point, I was in like the $10,000 a month range. And so I was like, okay, let's do a money workshop. And I didn't even know, I was just going to show up to the workshop and teach everything I knew. Okay. And that was module 1. Then it turned into, oh, I have more ideas. I have more things to say. I have more for you about the topic of money. And then it grew. And then I was like, oh, I have even more. Like, I've had more experiences. I have more ideas, more perspectives for you, more tools. And then it grew even more. And so it just kept evolving. It's like it just turned into a snowball of content. And so now I just keep adding to it. Oh, some other details. Let me read this. The best teachers aren't always the most knowledgeable, but relatable and can connect on deeper levels. Yeah, agreed. That's true. Knowledge knowledge can only go so far if it's not landing with the people. Okay, so important dates for Money Magic. The 2 calls coming up, 28th and the 30th. The other details that you need to know, again, the 5th person to purchase Money Magic, pay in full, gets a free DIY class that's on my website, excluding Slut Magic and Money Magic. Those are bigger programs, so it's not a part of it. But that is the giveaway that I'm doing right now. The other thing that you need to know is the doors are closing on June 30th for Money Magic. So you have until the end of the month to purchase Money Magic, and then I'm closing the doors, and we're gonna move into another season of something else. So this will be money season, and then we're gonna move on. And then the last thing that you need to know is I haven't decided when the price change is going to happen, but it will be going up in price as well. I think I might raise the price on the 28th. So that like tail end, the price will be raised. And the thing that you should know about Money Magic is the more I add to it, the more the price increases. So everyone who gets in, it's like your investment appreciates. That's it's just a fun little thing that we do. And like I said, there's 11 hours of content that you have instant access to. We did a mental mold workshop back in January. There's just like, it's full. It's full right now. So more will be added to it at the end of this month. And of course, you can come to the live calls if you'd like. So that's all the logistical stuff about Money Magic, the giveaway, all of that good stuff. I'm going to be talking more. I'll give you more money content until the end of this month, probably like the 28th, like somewhere in there. I'm just going to be talking a lot about money, thoughts, ideas, perspectives, stuff for you about money. And yeah, that's all for now. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate you all. I'm going to post this on Instagram. I'm going to post this on YouTube, all of the places. If you want the links, they're in my bio or in the description box of this, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.